Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 6.5 of my merchanting series. So as this is a 0.5 episode, it's going to be more of a guide, more informative than the other videos, and this episode we're going to be talking about lowballing, what it is, how I've been using it, and how you can use it as well. And some of the other items and guides that I've given in this series have been on how you can do room flipping, how you can do treasure trove flipping, so if you guys want to see that, you can look at the earlier videos. But apart from that, let's get into lowballing and let's see what it's all about. So first of all, what actually is lowballing? Now lowballing is a term that I would give to having a buy offer on an item and your buy price is a fair amount lower than the item's current price. However, it's also got to be at a price that you think would have a decent chance of buying overnight or over the period of time that you're willing to leave this offer. So it isn't really offering 10% of the item's price, as if a Santa hat's 100ml, you can offer 10ml, but at the end of the day it's not going to buy, as the Santa hat isn't going to drop such an extreme amount in a few hours or however long you're leaving it. And it's usually done overnight, like I've said, or when you can't actively flip. So overnight, at college, at school, if you go away for a few days, something like that, you can do it. And you can also do it while you are flipping. So if you're flipping something and you've got just a spare bit of money and a spare grand exchange slot that you're not using, you could use the last slot, the last bit of money, to maybe put a lowball offer in, and it may make you a bit of extra cash. So which items could you actually lowball? Now items which have small limits, such as a limit of 1 or 2, would be probably the best to do. However, in some cases, items with a limit of 10 may be possible. It's just the smaller the limit, generally the more volatile the item is, because it's harder to keep within a nice small price range. So the more volatile there are, then it's easier to buy at a cheaper price, which would be your lowball price. And some items which just have limits of 2 are rares, treasure trail items, nex armors and spirit shields, although spirit shields do currently have a limit of 1. And all those items would be really not massively difficult to lowball. However, as well as that, there are obviously risks, there are advantages to doing this, and we'll have a look through those right now. So the advantages to this type of merchanting, as opposed to doing something else, would be you have a potential to make a lot of profit, more normally than flipping, with relative ease. It can be done overnight when you may not be able to flip anyway, and there's a no buy no loss scenario with it. Now I'll explain all these now using my Virtus example, which I did in episode 6, and I lowballed a Virtus set, it bought, and I managed to make about 6ml profit. And the potential to make a lot of profit, obviously 6ml is a lot for a Virtus set. Relative ease, I literally logged in, made the offer in 2 minutes and logged out. It can be done overnight. Well, my lowball offer's filled overnight. And the no buy no loss scenario, if none of it had bought, I couldn't have lost money as no trades had been made. So those are the advantages. However, there are disadvantages, and these are the market can change and make you lose money, and you do want a bit of background experience in the market you do decide to do the lowballing in. And I'll explain these again. If you take a Santa hat, for example, you may try and lowball it at 97ml. However, you never know if there's a sudden crash for whatever reason. If the Santa hat then drops to 93ml, you've paid quite a lot over what it's currently trading at. So you can lose money that way, so it isn't completely foolproof. And the bit of background experience, if I just take something like third age plate body, you may see it's currently trading at 80ml. You may think, oh, a lowball offer in at 75ml. However, if you don't have a bit of background experience, you might not know that the price just went from 70ml up to 80ml. And if that price comes straight back down, you've paid 75ml for what is a 70ml item, and that means you're going to lose about 5ml. So you could have reduced that risk, or not even made any loss at all, had you known that the item usually was around 70ml. And that's why you do want a bit of background experience, and you never really want to just dive into a market and try and do this method and just be hoping for the best. Now, highballing is, I'm not sure if it's the correct term, but basically, if you understand everything I've said so far, if you just put it all in reverse, flip everything, this would be selling an item you already have at a higher price and hoping it sells, and then you would rebuy it back cheaper. So if you had a Divine Spirit Shield, if Divines were 250ml, you put it in about 260ml or something. If it sells overnight, then you would hopefully be able to buy it back at 250ml. So it has the same advantages, disadvantages really, and it's just kind of a different way of lowballing, just in reverse if you already own the item. So I've got a few screenshots just to explain a few things a bit easier, and these are all off my main account. I didn't really think it would matter whether it's on my main or my noob account for this. And you can see in this first screenshot that the yellow party hat was what I was flipping at the very start. And as far as I remember, I was flipping things like yellows and purples, and I couldn't quite afford a green. So I think I had about 1.33 bill, and I basically just used the fact that I had the spare money in the Grand Exchange slot. So I made the green party hat offer regardless of the fact I was about 50ml short. And you can see it did actually buy. This is probably the only time I've ever had such a massive profit on a low ball. And it bought for 1.32 bill. And you can see literally 2 minutes it must have been after I sold it for 1.38 bill. And you can tell it was an instant sell, as someone's buy offer for it was 1380.1001, and the extra 100k and 100 GP, you can kind of infer from that it was someone's buy offer, and I instant sold it to them. So I made literally just under 60ml in what must have been 2 minutes, because my lowball offer just happened to fill. Now the next one is actually from one of my other videos. In that video I merchant for 10 hours and I showed the margins I made and stuff like that. And at the very start of the video you can see I couldn't buy Pernix Champs for 387ml. And maybe about 20 minutes later they were able to buy for 352ml. And it just does show that there were no Pernix Champs in the Grand Exchange at that time. The real price wasn't 387ml. And had somebody had a highball offer in there on the Pernix Champs, then they could have sold them for as high as 382ml I think I was offering. Maybe even higher had I began to offer more. And that could have made them a real nice amount of profit. And I know the screenshot is really quite old, but it just does go to show that you can make a lot of money from doing the highballing as well. Now that's just about it in terms of what I've got to say about lowballing. However, there are two questions which I predict I'm going to be asked in the comments. The first is that I've spoke a lot about expensive items such as the party hats, the Pernix, the neck stuff, spirit shields, and for the guys who can't afford that, I did say about treasure trail items, and some of the cheap ones, if you remember in episode 3 I think it was, I was flipping flared trousers, wizard robe tops. Those items were making me a decent profit, and that's because they were very volatile, they only had the small limit of 2. So you could do that on anything such as maybe god pages, even robin hats. You can imagine just how commonly they're traded, and they only have a limit of 2, so it's going to be hard to try and contain that price within maybe 50k or 100k of med. That's going to be near impossible. So you've always got chance on items like those to try and pick one up really cheap, and hopefully your lowball offer will be the one that picks it up really cheap. And the second question I know people are going to ask and they're going to PM me about, and that is, if I was going to lowball something, what price should I pay? How much underneath its current price should I pay? And there is no answer that I can give. You've just got to use a price that you think the item may drop to, or it would be possible to buy it, and again you would only know that from previous experience in the market. And just in advance, anyone who does ask that question, I'm not going to answer it because I can't, not because I'm trying to be rude or I don't want to help. So I think that's about it for everything to do with lowballing. Like always, if I do think I've forgot anything, I will put that information in the description. So if there's nothing in there, I've spoke about everything I needed to. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this, understood it. Hopefully it'll help you as well. And apart from that, I will see you in the next episode, and cheers for watching. So see you guys.